There is an ideal being sold to you today, a new gospel for an age of anxiety. It is the image of the unbreakable man, the modern Stoic. He is a fortress of serenity in a world of chaos. While others are tossed by the waves of panic and despair, he stands on the shore, unmoved. Insult him, he does not flinch. Praise him, he does not smile. Misfortune strikes, and he meets it with a calm, almost unnerving acceptance. His heart is a citadel, its walls impenetrable. His mind, a quiet throne room from which he rules his inner kingdom with absolute control. He has mastered his emotions. He has separated what he can control from what he cannot, and has achieved a state of enlightened indifference. He is powerful. He is disciplined. He is free. And you have tried to become him, haven't you? In the quiet moments of your own anxiety, you have yearned for this armor. You have practiced the mantras. You have read the ancient texts. You have tried to build that same fortress around your own heart, to silence the distracting noise of your feelings, to become invulnerable. You crave this control, this stoic peace, as a man in a desert craves water. But what if the ideal being sold to you is a lie? What if this promised strength is a sophisticated form of weakness in disguise? What if that fortress is not a shelter, but a prison you are building for yourself, brick by painstaking brick? What if the peace you are chasing is not the quiet of a throne room, but the silence of a tomb? Tonight, we diagnose a uniquely modern sickness, a sickness that disguises itself as wisdom, a weakness that masquerades as strength. This is the Stoic trap, and it has claimed more prisoners than you could ever imagine. The diagnosis, the sickness of apatheia, apathy. The central promise of this modern, corrupted Stoicism hinges on one powerful and dangerously misunderstood concept: apatheia. To the original Stoic masters, men like Zeno, Seneca, and Epictetus, apatheia was the ultimate goal. But what they meant by it was a state of being free from irrational, disturbing, and vicious passions. It was freedom from the tyranny of rage, from the paralysis of terror, from the poison of envy. It was about overcoming the emotional reactions that cloud judgment and prevent virtuous action. The goal was not to stop feeling, but to stop being a slave to feelings that were destructive and contrary to reason. A true Stoic could feel sadness at the loss of a friend. They just wouldn't be consumed by a grief that led to self-destruction. They could feel anger at injustice. They just wouldn't let it curdle into a blind, vengeful rage. Theirs was the ideal of a deep, vast ocean. The surface could be disturbed by winds, but the immense depth remained stable, powerful, and full of life. It was a dynamic state of mental clarity and emotional resilience, forged in the fires of self-examination. The modern pop Stoicism, however, has performed a subtle and toxic corruption of this ideal. It has replaced apatheia with apathy. It has mistaken freedom from irrational passions with freedom from all passion. The new ideal is not the deep ocean. It is the frozen lake, perfectly still, perfectly reflective, perfectly hard, and completely dead beneath the surface. This modern interpretation encourages a deliberate self-mutilation. It tells you that your sadness is a weakness to be suppressed, your anger a malfunction to be corrected, your joy a fleeting vulnerability to be guarded against. It teaches you to amputate parts of your own humanity and call the numbness that remains strength. You are taught to build a callus over your soul, to cauterize your own nerve endings so that life can no longer touch you, but a being that cannot be touched by pain is also a being that cannot be touched by love, by beauty, by righteous indignation, or by profound connection. The man who cannot weep at a tragedy is also the man who cannot be moved to prevent one. The man who feels no fear is not brave. He is merely reckless, for courage requires the presence of fear to overcome. This is the diagnosis of the Stoic trap. It is a psychological disease where the patient, believing they are pursuing strength, is actually engaged in a slow, methodical suicide of the spirit. They are not becoming a sage. They are becoming a ghost. They are not building a fortress. They are digging a grave and pulling the dirt in over themselves, calling the darkness peace. The anatomy of the trap: two misused tools. This modern sickness propagates itself by corrupting the very tools the ancient Stoics designed for liberation. Two tools, in particular, have been twisted into the primary mechanisms of the trap. First is the control dichotomy, now wielded as an alibi for inaction. The original teaching is simple and powerful. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. The Stoics taught that our sphere of control is limited to our own thoughts, judgments, and chosen actions. Everything else, our health, our reputation, the actions of others, the fate of the world, is ultimately outside of our complete control. The purpose of this distinction was not to encourage passivity. It was a radical call to action. It was meant to liberate you from the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable, so that you could focus all of your energy on the one thing you truly own, the quality of your own character and the virtue of your own choices. It was a tool for empowerment. But today, it has been perverted into an alibi for cowardice. It has become the sophisticated excuse of the modern passive man. He sees injustice in the world and whispers, "That is outside my control." He sees a friend in need of a difficult truth and thinks, "Their reaction is outside my control." He sees his society crumbling and reasons, "The broader political system is outside my control." In each case, this profound philosophical tool is used not to spur virtuous action within his sphere, but to justify a complete retreat from the world. It is a philosophy of abdication, a declaration of learned helplessness disguised as ancient wisdom. He has taken a map designed to guide him to heroic action, and instead uses it to justify staying inside his house and locking the door. The second corrupted tool is negative visualization, now twisted into a joy-killing mechanism. The practice, taught by Seneca, involves periodically imagining the worst-case scenarios, losing your wealth, your loved ones, your health. The goal was twofold: to prepare yourself emotionally for hardship, making it less shocking if it arrives, and, more importantly, to foster a deep and profound gratitude for what you have right now. By imagining life without your partner, you learn to cherish their presence today. By imagining the loss of your home, you appreciate the simple comfort of its roof tonight. It was intended as a powerful psychological technique for enhancing the value of the present moment. But in the anxious modern mind, this tool becomes a poison. Instead of fostering gratitude, it cultivates a permanent, low-grade dread. It becomes a form of self-torture, a constant rehearsal of future pain that sabotages any possibility of present joy. You cannot fully enjoy a success because you have already practiced the feeling of its loss. You cannot fully surrender to love because you are busy rehearsing the pain of a potential breakup. It ceases to be a preparation for hardship and becomes a preemptive surrender to it. You live in a state of pre-grief, mourning losses that have not yet occurred. This is not resilience. This is a life spent cowering in a mental storm shelter while the sun is shining outside. It is the ultimate irony. A tool designed to make you appreciate life becomes the very thing that prevents you from ever truly living it. The original masters, what they actually said. Do not take my word for it. The evidence of this corruption is written in the words of the masters themselves. The pop Stoic caricature of a detached, passive hermit could not be further from the men who forged this philosophy in the heart of the Roman world. Consider Marcus Aurelius, not a reclusive scholar, but the most powerful man on earth, the Emperor of Rome. His meditations are not a guide to serene detachment. They are the private diary of a man wrestling with immense duty. He writes not of escaping the world, but of serving it. He reminds himself, Does the sun desire to do the work of the rain, or Asclepius the work of the fruit-bearer? And what of each of the stars? Are they not different and yet work together to the same end? For Aurelius, the goal was not to retreat from the human community, but to find your essential role within it and perform it with excellence and for the common good, even when it was difficult, even when you were surrounded by fools and ingrates. Consider Seneca, not an emotionless robot, but a man of immense passion, wealth, and political influence, who wrote powerfully on the nature of human connection. The man who said, "If you wish to be loved, love," was not advocating for a heart of stone. In his letters consoling those who are grieving, he does not say, "Suppress your feelings, it is outside your control." He advises a period of natural grief, acknowledging that to have loved deeply means to feel pain at its loss. He wrote, "I am not counseling you to be hard, but to be brave. There is a great difference between a broken and a troubled spirit." He understood that the goal was not to eradicate emotion, but to master it, to prevent it from becoming a destructive tyrant. And consider Epictetus, the slave-turned-teacher, the toughest of them all. He constantly made the distinction between the man who merely quotes philosophers and the man who lives the philosophy. For him, the proof of a Stoic was not in his calm demeanor, but in his unwavering character in the face of adversity. He would say the true philosopher is not the one who avoids sickness, but the one who maintains his virtue while sick. The test was never to feel nothing. The test was to act rightly regardless of what you felt. Their entire philosophy was a call to engagement, to duty, to courage, to becoming a pillar of strength for the world, not a ghost that haunts its edges. The antidote, from suppression to sublimation. If the modern Stoic path is a trap, what is the way out? Is the answer to surrender to every emotional whim, to become a slave to passion in a different way? The antidote is not to abandon Stoicism, but to rediscover its true, ruthless, and transformative core. It is to move from a philosophy of emotional suppression to a philosophy of emotional sublimation. The first step is to reclaim your emotions as data. You must cease to see your feelings as enemies. Your anger, your sadness, your fear, your anxiety. These are not malfunctions. They are vital, high-fidelity signals from your deepest self. Anger is a signal that a value you hold sacred has been violated. Sadness is a signal that you have lost something you cherished. Fear is a signal that something you value is under threat. You must learn to listen to these signals without judgment. Acknowledge them, name them, sit with their discomfort. They are not there to be crushed, they are there to be understood. The second step is to redefine your control. The modern Stoic trap tells you to retreat into the tiny circle of your own thoughts. The authentic path commands you to take the data from your emotions and use it to fuel virtuous action within that circle. Your domain of control is your chosen response, and that response must be an action. Is the world unjust? Use the fire of your anger not to complain, but to build, to correct, to fight for justice in the way that you can, no matter how small. Have you suffered a loss? Use the depth of your sadness to understand the value of what was lost and to honor it with your future actions. The goal is not to feel less. It is to do more. The third and final step is to practice Amor Fati, the love of your fate, as Nietzsche, a great admirer of the Stoics, understood it. This is the ultimate sublimation. It is not the passive, shrugging acceptance of whatever happens, happens. That is resignation, not love. Amor Fati is an active, powerful, and defiant embrace of your entire reality. It is to look at your life with all its pain, its struggle, its unfairness, and its beauty, and to say, yes, all of it. I would not have it any other way because this is the raw material from which I forge my character. It is to understand that the obstacle in the path is the path. The challenge is not something to be serenely ignored. It is the very thing that gives you the opportunity to become strong, courageous, and wise. The Stoic trap offers you a seductive promise. A life free from pain. It offers a shield. But a life that is shielded from all pain is also shielded from all meaning. The strength it sells is the brittle strength of ice, which shatters under pressure. The authentic Stoic path offers a different promise. It does not offer comfort. It does not offer an escape from the harsh realities of the human condition. It offers something far more valuable. A weapon. It provides the tools to face pain, injustice, and loss, and to alchemize them into virtue, purpose, and an unbreakable strength of character. It teaches you not to be a fortress that keeps the world out, but to be a fire that transforms everything the world throws at it. This is not an attack on Stoicism. It is a rescue mission. It is a call to rescue this powerful philosophy from the modern marketplace of easy answers and comfortable lies. So, look at your own life. Be honest. Where have you used the idea of control as an alibi to remain passive in the face of something you knew was wrong? In which area of your life have you been trying to freeze your own heart, mistaking numbness for strength? The first step out of the trap is a single, authentic action. Declare it. In the comments below, name the one area where you will stop suppressing your feelings and start using them as fuel for a courageous and virtuous act. Stop being a passive observer of your life. Become its primary actor. Abandon the frozen lake. Embrace the deep ocean. That is the beginning of true strength.